be getting started very shortly here, folks. Got a lobby up, just waiting on all of our servers for the matches, which is myself and Montana Zor. Then we're going to be getting into game one here between Destar and Frenetic. Welcome, welcome, Matthew. Switch us on over to our facecam stream here. All right, we'll be getting into game one here, beyond the map Fata Morga. This is going to be a matchup in Emperor of the Hill series hosted by Montana. We'll be having a matchup of Orcs and Eldar here between players Destar and Frenetic. Both of these guys very high-level players. Very interesting start here on the side of Destar, going 3 Slugga Boys, Gretchen, and then Boys Hut and a Wa banner. So this is going to be a very, very aggressive opener here on the side of Destar. Then on the side of Frenetic, we can see we're going a fairly standard opener here with Eldar, which is going to be 2 Guardian Squads, 2 Bone Singers, Aspect Portal, Dark Reapers, and Plasma Generator. So this is very typical. Standard follow-up from this is either second Dark Reaper, which we see queued already, or potentially into a Farseer to deal with the Big Mech, and Fleet of Foot being researched here as well. So again, very typical things. On the side of Destar, we see some aggression coming out already, coming over with one of those 3 Slugga Boy squads to immediately start capping here and harassing. We see Frenetic kind of responding to this by using this Dark Reaper squad, which is likely going to go to capture this to push these Slugga Boys off here. Do see this squad already being reinforced, so he wants to go for the cap at the very least. And if he's quick with it, he might even be able to get, even if he doesn't build this listening post here, just having these Gretchen come and potentially delay this longer is a good thing. And he can use these Gretchen here for a bit of tie-up, but I don't know if he's going to want to stay and fight this against the 2 Guardians and 2 Dark Reaper squads. That could be quite dangerous. But the Big Mech is coming in here for Destar, and behind this, Destar is just capping, building listening posts. Actually, because of the investment early in the Slugga Boys, this has not really been heavy on building listening posts, because most of his requisition is going to reinforcing this Slugga Boy squad to keep it alive. Now we do have a second Slugga Boy squad coming in here, joining with the Big Mech. So potentially we're going to see some additional aggression come out here to keep this going. But no, Destar calls it here, recognizing that that early aggression did not really pay off, and he's pretty far behind economically. So that is game one, going the way of Frenetic here on Fata Morga. Beginning into game two very shortly here. And sometimes that's just the way it goes in Dawn of War. You try something, you try some aggression like that, but you're not doing enough damage. Well, it can be very hard to follow up from that position. And here we go. Yeah, you've got to get into favorable position, I feel, in this matchup as Orc. Eldar do kind of outscale the longer the game goes, and their advantages become quite strong, especially once you start hitting like tier 2, tier 3. So as Orc, doing some level of early game harass and damage to kind of dent the progress of the Eldar is pretty important. Crash Fasta. Yeah, I did see that Dawn of War 4 trailer, and it was very, very amusing to me that they had a big red button in the orc ship that they used specifically to crash faster. It's a very orc thing to do. There we go. To game 2 here very shortly. Looks like we'll be on the map Outer Reaches for game 2. Now this map, kind of contrary to Fata Morgha, all the points on Fata Morgha are very... Said game starting. Now it doesn't. Okay, there we go. The difference here being that Outer Reaches is a much more spread out map. So this is very favorable for early aggression on the side of the orcs to potentially dent the economy build for the Eldar. So we should see this play out, I would expect, quite differently from Game 1 on Fata Morgha. Fata Morgha is quite a defensive map where it's relatively easy to secure the majority of your your posts, then get your listening posts up, kind of then play more defensive. So in theory, that should favor Eldar. Outer Reaches here being a more spread out map, as I said, kind of favors orcs a little bit more in this matchup, giving them more potential angles to be aggressive. Go. Loaded in here.
Command me to build.
It still appears frozen.
Is a pillar upon which whole worlds have been built.
I have a feeling we're gonna have to reuse this. Yeah. Thing broke there. That one. Try number 2. Go. Getting into game 2 here. Short rehost there, but should be in very, very shortly. There we go. So we'll see what our openings are here. On the side of Frenetic, we're going 1 Bone Singer into 3 Guardians. This being a more open, large map with spread out points makes sense. 3 Guardian squads is going to speed up the capture, and then we're into Aspect Portal and Plasma Generator. On the side of the Orcs, we see a Generator, Boys Hut, 2 Slugga Boys, Gretchen. This is the standard economic opener for orcs. So there's a myriad of potential follow-ups we could see from the orc player here. The most common is shoot a boys and a big mech, and then trying to fight it out and get to your pile of guns. Interesting cap order here on the side of Frenetic, going for this outer point first as well as this outer point, and the 3rd Guardian squad going and capturing the point closest to the base. This should make it a little easier for him to secure these far points, because he can build up a listening post on this one with the 2 Bone Singers, then go back here, kind of split the Bone Singers, build 1 listening post and another listening post.
What now? Green is best.
Shoota Boys moving forward towards the center strategic point in a fight between the Shoota Boys and the Guardians. The Shoota Boys will win very, very easily. Slugga Boys going and capturing one of the far points here. So I'm going to be very curious how the cap order kind of evolves. Picking these 3 points, your base point, and these 2 points is pretty standard. But from here you have your options of, do you want to fight over this center point, or do you want to fight over these 2 top points? And after seeing the Shooter Boys there, backed off a bit, but now comes back with another Guardian squad. We're seeing here the Farseer early on, and Dark Reapers after. So we're actually seeing the 3 Guardians into Farseer and then Dark Reapers. And usually you'll get 2 squads of Dark Reapers here as an Eldar player before you're kind of teching to tier 2. Safe positioning here on the side of Destar, just putting the Shooter Boys in heavy cover, using the Slugga Boys to cap.
How can we help?
Destar kind of seceded this point here to Frenetic, and now the Bone Singers are able to walk forward here, get this captured. Frenetic just keeping the Farseer here because he hasn't yet seen where the Big Mech is. So until you see the Big Mech moving in, you don't really want to just walk away from this, because if the Big Mech comes in, you would potentially just lose your Bone Singers very quickly. Shooter Boy squad actually potentially getting wiped here. Ooh, that's really rough. That was a very good Psystorm out of the Farseer that did quite a bit of damage, and then able to get the Shooter Boy squad completely killed off there. Just very, very good trade overall for Frenetic. I believe he researched the grenades because I heard the sound effect. So using the grenade stun there does make the equation a little different in the fight between a Guardian squad and a Shooter Boy squad that hasn't been reinforced. The Shooter Boy squad would lose with the grenades in play in the Psystorm.
Naturally.
Just defending, capping this point here, this relic. These Bone Singers will easily get that up. These Slugga Boys can potentially go and do a little bit of harass here, but you could also just send one Dark Reaper squad to kind of chase them down. But it looks like the game plan here on the side of Frenetic is to try and just counter harass himself and take down this point and this point. So on the side of Destar, we're kind of doing something similar, just attacking 2 points of our opponent. But the amount of damage on the side of Frenetic here is much, much higher with the Farseer and the 2 Dark Reaper squads. So he'll be able to clear these much quicker. But we saw a fast tech here, getting enough Orc Pop to get our Storm Boys out, pile of guns coming in, so not a heavy investment into the Shooter Boys. It's kind of one squad, not reinforced, so yes, it was lost, but now you can fight a little bit more effectively as the Storm Boys come in. Gotta be very careful though, this squad is very, very low and actually gets wiped there. I think that could potentially spell disaster here, because 2 Dark Reaper squads that are reinforced with Exarchs now, and a still alive but quite low Farseer with now 3 squad wipes. Yes, that is game 2 going the way of Frenetic as well. Just very clean, very controlled play on the side of Frenetic so far. We'll be going to game 3 here. Yeah, and compared to what I've come to expect from Destar in his other series, he does seem to be a little bit off his game today. But you never want to judge something by the first couple games, because it's always possible that, you know, you're reading your opponent, you get your read in, and then the next couple games just go your way. There we go. We have Mon in, and we'll be going into game 3 here. So we'll be on Shrine of Excellion for Game 3. This is a much smaller map in comparison to Outer Reaches. Your points are largely by your base. You have your 3 points right here that are basically easy to capture. Might have a little bit of fighting over these outer points, but most of the combat tends to go over the relic points and then this central single critical location.
We will fulfill our duty.
Be curious what the cap order is for both players. Seeing kind of a repeat of the 3 Sluggaboy Wabbanner build, and then on the side of Destar, or on the side of Frenetic here, seeing a repeat of the double Dark Reaper build with the... Wow, this is actually a very aggressive Dark Reaper rush, effectively. He's going 1 Guardian squad only into immediately 2 Dark Reapers and Fleet of Foot. So he's going to be putting pressure on with these Dark Reapers, I've got to imagine. But this is going to delay his economy quite a bit as well, because he only has 1 capping squad. And then he's going to be aggressive with these 2 Dark Reaper squads. Adding an Exarch immediately onto the first Dark Reaper squad, and I imagine an Exarch will get added on very quickly here. That teleport forward with the Bone Singer was a little bit aggressive, but looks like that Bone Singer will probably get out of here okay.
We bring heavy weapons to crush the enemy.
On the side of Destar, we saw a cap order prioritizing these 2 outer points, then going backwards towards his base, and I'm imagining this squad will come up and cap that. Good harass here on the side of Destar, getting the decap in all likelihood here, but may end up losing this Sluggaboy squad for it.
We are here to fulfill our duty.
Sluggaboys have taken a ton of morale damage, but they are tying up the Dark Reapers. Dark Reapers don't have terrible damage in melee, though. So this is kind of rough here, where the Big Mech is going to be the primary damage source, and these Sluggaboys really don't do a whole ton in this fight, especially morale broken like this. Their damage is not going to be particularly high. But the key here is because of the build that Frenetic went for, you see he doesn't have anything except 1 point captured in a Plasma Gen. So yes, he has 3 Dark Reaper squads, but his economy is massively delayed in comparison to Destar here, who has all his points up. He's building the final listening posts now, but he's already got everything capped. He's still doing some harass. He's going to have to back off here now, but as I said, his opponent's economy is massively, massively delayed. If we look at income, the disparity is going to be quite massive, plus 74 to plus 32, plus 10. You can start adding on banners and generators here with the huge advantage you have in income. And while your opponent can push once they start securing their own points with these Dark Reapers, I feel like you're going to be in an okay position here. Just going to want to add Wah banners on and get to kind of a mass of Storm Boys, I imagine, your Destar here. May not be able to finish the cap on this point. Temporarily, it's going to be quite hard to deal with these guys. First squad of Storm Boys out, though, so the tie-up is going to get much more tricky to deal with here. I like this, bringing the extra squad of Gretchen just for tie-up. Gives him a little bit more space here while he's getting additional Storm Boys out. Needs to be careful to not lose this squad of Storm Boys here. But that gave him just enough time to be able to put a listening post down on this point. So now he can fall back, get another squad of Storm Boys up, well, hopefully another 2, get a pile of guns going, hopefully before too long, And while the economy has equalized a bit here, still lead on the side of Destar economically. So while he does lose this point and it will be decapped, he has delayed that process quite a bit and bought himself a substantial amount of time to get this pile of guns out, and these 3 squads of Storm Boys is going to make tie-up on these Dark Reapers much, much easier. And while he was doing that, Destar was capping on the opposite side of the map. Your opponent's whole army is dedicated to denying this. Well, just use that other squad to go and take this. Well, he's probably not going to be able to complete it now because his opponent's army is all the way over there and it's relatively immobile. He does have fleet of foot, but he's not got, jump jet units here. Just go and harass a point over here. Force your opponent to pull back, save those Gretchens. Those Gretchens can go build that point. So now we kind of have the game plan up and running for the Orc player in order to deal with this mass Dark Reaper build. From here, you're really going to want to just be as aggressive as possible, kind of fly around and harass with these Storm Boy squads. You're not really going to look for a direct engagement at this point. However, comes in, sees that his opponent's already tier 2 with the Soul Shrine up and 3 gens, and realizes that his opponent should now be advantaged. So that is game 3 going the way of Frenetic, which means that he has dethroned the current Emperor of the Hill, Destar, and now we go into kind of the bonus games of the series between Destar and Frenetic. So as a reminder, this is not a best of 5, this is a 5-game series. So we'll play all 5 games regardless of the results of previous games. But because we have already had 3 wins in a row for Frenetic, it means that we have a new Emperor of the Hill. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Ajiv. Yeah, I'd definitely say that Destar does look a little tilted.
I'm not doing anything.
But we'll see how these next couple games go. Seeing the well, 3 Slugga Boys queued, but a generator. So this is an interesting variation. We'll see how this goes. Kind of the risk and reward in Dawn of War when you play these early aggressive builds is that you need to be very, very careful with the early squads, because if you take too many losses, even if you're ahead economically, if you've had to invest, twice the amount in army that your opponent has, you can just be in really, really bad positions very quickly. So even though you can end up doing a lot of damage or delaying listening posts and caps, you need to be very careful that you don't take too much damage in the process. Seeing an interesting build here on the side of Destar, actually starting Rangers with Fleet of Foot, and I imagine Ranger Stealth behind. No Ranger Stealth directly into Farseer. So this is a very, very interesting build. You don't tend to see Rangers a lot in this matchup because Big Mac gives stealth detection and can effectively kind of deal with the Ranger harass. So this is a very, very interesting variation. I do like that aggressive cap order, sending this Slugga Boy squad immediately forward to capture this outer point and then build a listening post on it. On this map in particular, having control of these low ground points next to your high ground points is actually very, very important, because if you control this, it's possible to set up turrets and the like and basically deny a listening post on this point, even if you're not necessarily decapping that, depending on what your army is.
We walk the path
We can
less
see here the Big Mac does not really take a lot of damage from these Rangers.
defend the craft.
They do really hurt the morale of the Big Mac, but they're not really killing the Big Mac. Thank you. My wife coming in and delivering lunch while we are casting here.
The mists of space and
We
time
walk the
retreat.
path
But I'll be very interested to see what Frenetic does with this opening here. So like I said, this is kind of an atypical opening, at least to my knowledge in this matchup, because of the stealth detection on the Big Mac, making it much harder to get value out of these Rangers.
Success.
In matchups where stealth detection is not,
We return
or
to
is something
defend
where
the
you
craft.
purchase, say, skull probes or something else, it can be a little more effective. But I think when your stealth detection is a commander, in general, it's harder to get value out of the Rangers. But doing really good harass here, using them to deny building this listening post and deal with these Gretchen. Stealth comes in now, so you can't easily target the Gretchen anymore. Kind of splitting up the Slugga here to do some harass. These generators are by currently an LP1, but it will very shortly be an LP2. Might be able to kill some of these Bone Singers here. On the side of Destar, what do we have coming in? More Wa banners, another generator. So we're going to be going into the Storm Boys very shortly here. Has done a good job preserving all of his squads, not really losing a whole lot here, just kind of doing a little bit of harass and slowing his opponent down, but getting his own eco built out. Let's check eco for both players. Plus 110, plus 10, plus 104, plus 30. So the risk here is now that Eldar has all this up, you can expect that a Soul Shrine should follow very shortly. And then I would imagine after the Soul Shrine, maybe go directly into vehicles here.
The future seems so
Seeing as you're not really investing a ton in your infantry. No Dark Reapers, no... you wouldn't usually build Howling Banshees in this matchup, but no Dark Reapers, not a heavy investment in Guardians. Really just the Rangers and the Farseer. See a very good Mind War onto the Big Mac here. Mind War deals substantial damage to the Big Mac. You can see he's already down very, very far into the red health here. And with all these LP2s up, not really a lot that the Orc player can expect to do here. Yes, he's tying up these Rangers with the Slugga Boys, but he's losing Slugga Boys to the Guardians, which is not a trade you usually want. So this squad kind of just being left for dead here. We have a support platform here as well, in addition to an LP2. So that is a very impenetrable position now. We're banking a ton of requisition, so I've got to imagine this is going to be spent on D-Cannon coming in. Another support platform. We see a mech shop already up on the side of Destar. War truck coming in, and I imagine some war tracks will probably follow after that. Seeing Call of War research for Howling Banshees. So he actually is going into Howling Banshees. This is a very atypical build here. Howling Banshee's not going to do a whole lot against a war truck, but with D-cannons and the like, you're never going to really be able to harass with a war truck because D-cannon can borderline one-shot these things.
We are the messengers of doom.
Webway gate. No vehicles at all. This is a first for me. I don't think I can recall ever seeing this build. But Destar realizes you're not going to do any harass from this point on. Your opponent's position is just way too strong with all the support platforms and D cannons coming in. Gives the GG. So like our last game here will be on Meeting of Minds. This is another very defensive map in my mind. So in this pool, I would say Fata Morgha, Quest Triumph, and Meeting of Minds are the most defensive maps. Reason being, points are relatively close together, but the maps are also relatively large. I guess Quest Triumph is smaller than Meeting of Minds and Fata Morgha, but not by a ton compared to Fata Morgha. But you can kind of see with the layout of this map, you have 4 points that are very easy to capture, including one that's in heavy cover. Then you have an outer point and a relic point that are usually a bit more contested. And then you have kind of this central area of the map with a lot of heavy cover that makes it very easy to kind of set up defensively. So let's see what we see out of Destar here. Boys Hut, Wabbanner, triple Slugaboy into Gretchen. So doing the build he's done a couple times here. On the side of Frenetic, we have the double Guardian, Webway or Aspect Portal, then Dark Reapers, Generator. Very standard opener. Actually, triple Guardian, sorry. But still very standard opener here. Triple Guardian for faster capping on a map like this, but otherwise everything is kind of as you would expect. Triple Guardian will slow down either the second Dark Reaper squad or the Farseer, depending on what follow-up he chooses to go with. See capping pretty much done for both players. LPs being built up. And usually the biggest point of contention on this map is over the relic. It takes 1 minute to capture the relic, which means that it's relatively easy to kind of come and harass and disrupt the capture of the relic. So it can be quite difficult to secure here. Like bringing an extra Guardian squad over, because you know the Orc player is going to have that in his mind that he wants to come and disrupt your relic. So having these extra Guardian squads already preemptively in that vicinity to defend is quite good. I like this on the side of Destar, jumping right in and going for the Bone Singer, building this Listening Shrine on the heavy cover, and actually going the Burnas here on the Slugaboys is quite nice as well. Very effectively breaks the morale on these Guardian squads, and then they end up doing very little, if any, damage. And it makes it easier to chase down these Dark Reapers and do pretty decent damage, because the Burnas have very good accuracy on the move. So this gives you kind of a double whammy, where once these squads are morale broken, it's very difficult to actually do the DPS you need. And then the chase down on the Dark Reapers is a lot stronger because of the fire on the move accuracy. Couple that with the Big Mech here targeting the other Dark Reaper squad, and the triple Guardian start with no Farseer with all these listening posts means that really you don't have a whole lot on the field to deal with this right now. This generator should be dead, and then you can just kind of go back to harassing these Dark Reapers. See anything coming behind? No. Just more generators, no pile of guns yet or anything like that. I'm not sure it's worth it to prioritize those over just killing the Bone Singers here. But Destar is a better player than me. We do see 4 Bone Singers on the field, so that is a lot of investment in Bone Singers. I like this Sluggaboy squad being on range with the Burnos just to do constant morale damage here. We do see some Storm Boys coming in, so this is getting really scary to deal with, because now you have Chase down in the form of the Storm Boys that can just stay on top of you. You have all 3 of these Sluggaboy squads in the mix here. Support platform, plasma generator. So this is getting really scary on the side of the Eldar player, as evidenced by needing to build the support platform to add some extra defense here. Your goal is to try and do damage to the Dark Reaper squads and pick them off, because the damage out of the Guardians is not particularly high. So you really need to keep the numbers of the Dark Reapers low. Manages to disrupt this. We do see the plasma grenades in on the side of the Eldar player coming into play for the Guardian squads here, which adds a little bit of disruption against this melee blob. Didn't manage to decap the relic though, which is a bit unfortunate, because ideally you would want to decap this and the relic, which would substantially slow your opponent. See the plasma gens going down here, which is usually the precursor. Once you get 3 to 4 plasma gens up, you're going to transition into Soul Shrine and go tier 2. See a big engagement here on the side of Destar onto the Dark Reapers. But we do already see LP2s up, the support platform. I think this is going to be very rough engage. Minefield there. Yep. Destar calls it there, realizes that he's not going to be able to do much more damage, and his opponent has a free path to tier 2 here. So, GG called. Frenetic takes this series at 5-0. Very dominant performance out of Frenetic today. Yeah, definitely just kind of reading chat here to catch up. But Destar did seem off. I'll be honest, like the first game, he GG'd that very, very quickly after the early game losses. And I could kind of see after that it, like the lack of GG, he kind of went on tilt. And sometimes that happens playing a series like this. You have bad performance and you kind of have tilt affect you and then paint the way you play the rest of the series. I can speak from firsthand experience that, you know, it's very easy to end up on tilt and then making bad decisions. I do think some of the later games, I liked the early game builds that he was going for a little better. But I do think it's just very difficult. Frenetic is a very strong player, so there's no shame in losing to Frenetic in this case. And this matchup can be quite difficult as well. As you kind of saw, once you get a huge defensive position set up, it's very difficult to crack it if you're Orc. It's the Eldar player here. But that will do it for today's series. So I will be heading off here before too long. Thank you to both of our players for the series today, and to Montana for hosting the series. It was a good series, even if a relatively quick one. And that is kind of the way things go with Dawn of War. Sometimes stuff just kind of does not go your way, and very quickly a series can be over. But GG's, and see you all next time.